Have you ever heard somebody say that everybody will meet a serial killer at least one time in their life? I don't know if that's true or not, but here's my story about how I think I actually did meet a serial killer. Forewarning, this is a little creepy and it's a bit of a long story. So back in 2019 to 2022, I did real estate photography, mainly in Cincinnati, but kind of all over Ohio. One day I got a call about a job where the realtor told me that the daughter of the homeowner who had passed was going to let me into this house because she had the keys. No big deal, very normal. So I show up to the house on my motorcycle because that's how I roll. But when I show up, it's not a woman waiting for me, it's a guy. He's a little bit short, kind of pudgy, balding on top. I said, "Hey, are you the person that's supposed to let me into the house?" And he says, "Yes." I said, "Are you the husband of the woman that was supposed to let me in?" He says, "No, I'm a friend of the daughter whose mom lived in this house," which is very weird, but whatever, he had the keys. So we go inside and this guy's giving me weird vibes immediately, but I chalk it up to maybe he's got a touch of the tism. I'm not going to judge him. Here's where the red flags start though. When I started shooting, he kept walking closer and closer and closer to me, following me into every single room in the house. I repeatedly had to tell him to give me space so he wouldn't be in reflections and so he wouldn't bother me, but he wouldn't listen and kept getting closer and closer and closer. Now I could have just packed up my stuff and left, or I could have finished shooting really quick so I could get paid, and I chose to finish shooting. So I rush through all the photos and I tell him, "Hey, I'm done inside, I'm gonna shoot outside the house, and then after that, I'll be out of your hair." But then he says, "You forgot about the basement here." I said, "I didn't know that there was a basement. Is it finished? Because we don't usually take photos unless it's a finished basement." And he says, "No, but I would like you to take photos of it anyways because my friend of the friend told me that she wants photos of the basement." I thought that was kind of weird, but whatever. I don't want to argue with this guy. I just want to get this stuff done. So I'll go down, take 30 seconds to take one photo of the basement, and then I will leave. He shows me where the basement is, and I start to walk down the stairs, and I hear him following directly behind me, like one step behind my foot. So I stop midway down and I turn around and say, "Can you not follow me down here? Because I'm going to take one photo of the whole basement and I don't want you in the background." And he says, "I would like to come in the basement as well." We don't move for a second. I'm staring at him, he's staring at me. We're both standing in the middle of this staircase and he has his hand behind his back. So I tell him, "I'm not going to take photos of this basement. Please move out of the way." He moves, but he doesn't get out of the basement. He just slowly pushes himself up against the wall, so I have to walk right next to him to leave. So at this point, I figure this guy's either trying to rob me, kill me, or be romantic with me, and I don't want any three of those things to happen. So I push past him kind of quickly so he doesn't have time to react, and I grab my gear and I immediately walk outside. And he follows me and says, "I would really like you to take a picture of the basement, please." And I said, "No, I am not going to do that." And he gets really angry. He starts to shake a little bit. His fists are balled up. His brow is sweating slightly. His lips are pursed. But I don't care because I don't want to deal with this guy anymore. So I take a couple photos of the front of the house and I start packing up my gear to leave. He goes back inside. So I decide, whatever, I'm not going to talk to this guy anymore. It's not a big deal. As I'm packing up my stuff, I realize that I'm missing my lens cap. And no, I don't mean a lens cap like this. I mean one that's really big and looks like a thermos. It looks like this right here. It is not a small lens cap at all. It's about the size of a cup. I realize I left it inside the house somewhere, so I have to go back and talk to this guy. So I walk up to the house and I knock on the door and he answers immediately like he was waiting for me. But his demeanor is completely different. He's no longer angry. He's not frustrated. In fact, he's even nicer than he was when I first showed up. So I tell him, "Hey, I left my lens cap in here. Can I come in and just walk through really quick to see if I left it on a counter?" And he goes, "No problem." I know I'm going to find this immediately because it's a pretty big lens cap and this is an empty house with a couple tables, so it's not like it's lost in clutter or anything like that. But I don't find it. I looked in every single room, on top of tables, underneath tables, next to them. There was no lens cap in this house. Now, he stayed in the living room by the front door. He didn't follow me into any of these rooms. So I walk back to the living room and I say, "Hey, did you see this lens cap? It looks like this. I can't find it anywhere." He looks at me and he says, "I think you might have left it in the basement." Nope, I didn't, because I didn't go down in the basement. I walked halfway down and I turned around and came right back up. I looked at him and I said, "Nope, I definitely didn't leave it in the basement." And he says, "I think you left it in the basement." I didn't say a word to him. I turned around like I was still looking, walked out the back door, got on my motorcycle, and left. Here's the craziest thing about the entire situation. I get done shooting this place, I'm editing the photos, and I get a call from the realtor. They're like, "Hey, why didn't you shoot this house? This lady's waiting on you. Why didn't you show up?" I said, "What are you talking about? I'm looking at the photos that I just took right now." "How is that possible? She said nobody showed up. She's been waiting on you." Well, she didn't let me in. It was the guy. It was her friend of the friend or whatever. Friend of a friend? What are you talking about? No one knew who this guy was. The homeowner's daughter was really confused. She's like, I didn't tell anybody to let you in. I didn't have a friend of a friend hold a key for you. What is going on right now? And they never found out who it was. To this day, no idea who let me in the house. By the way, there was a dismembered body found in Cincinnati in 2023, and a bunch of people speculated it was a serial killer, but Cincinnati keeps saying that's not the case.